club. Pop that.
I can't do this right now.
Your boy got a license to start this. She gon' sight his and right when we gun it. The spike all night at the night at the phone.
I came to rock.
Too nice as a setup. Dripped out, head to toe, peep the get up. Said the young and be stunting in any sweater. You think you could do it better, but really could never measure. Got a Glock engraved with your name on it. And some special designs, this is a game for me. Tiptoed on the beat in Balenciagas. Dipped out of your crib in my Gucci floppers.
Your boy got a license to start this. She gon' sight his and right when we gun it. Super spike all night at the night at the phone. Pull up to the club. Pop that.
I can't do this right now.
Oh, y'all fucking hit me with the
Hello, subscribers of Phoebe Thomas. This is Thomas' girlfriend speaking. How are you today?
And why should anybody understand? I made this whole mess with both my hands. I did all this shit myself. I created my own hell. Every fucking time I lose my mind, I'm leaving all the ones I love behind. I know I'm guilty, guilty, guilty. Don't look at me, don't look at me. I'm filthy, filthy, filthy. Can somebody kill me? Does anyone hear me?
Yo, and welcome everyone to once again another live stream here on the Speed Force Racing YouTube channel. Today we are going to be having a Division 2 with a race on Bahrain, the one and only circuit where we have been racing the day before in the actual Formula 1. So it's quite iconic that we're going to be racing in Bahrain today too. If I'm not mistaken, it's called the Sakir Grand Prix or the Sakir something. But yeah, I mean, we're in Div 2, we're Season 15, Round 9, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I hope you guys are doing alright. Make sure to let me know if you have any audio issues, if there's anything wrong with my audio, if the game sound is not there, because it wasn't there a couple of weeks ago, but it should be there today. And yeah, we're ready to go. We've got 19 people in the lobby with quite a few familiar faces. We haven't seen OWR Prep yet, so he's one of the new guys today. Is anyone else unfamiliar? I don't think so. Everyone else is familiar, and I'm really looking forward to see what Mindful Wasp is going to be able to do today. Mindful Wasp in the AlphaTauri car, one of the faster guys on the grid, but he sometimes has some issues crashing out. I don't know, whatever. But he will be able to do great today in Bahrain, and both of the Aston Martins have already come out. It's Mark Werty, like usual, being the first driver out on track, and then right behind him we've got his teammate Alex Hawk. And I think Mark Werty just wants to get out on track as soon as possible to get that lap in already. You know, it's kind of a confidence boost. When you come across the line first, you put that pole time in, and you're the one on top of the list for a couple of laps or a couple of minutes. And I think that is what Mark Werty is trying to do here, coming around turn 7. Quite of an iconic corner, if I can be honest. Quite a good moves are being made around there. Then we were going into turn 8 and 9. Very difficult overtaking section here around Bahrain. Now we've got that DRS straight going into turn 10. That DRS straight, it's not long enough to make the overtake with the use of DRS, but turn 10 is a good dive bomb opportunity, just going down the inside there, and then just a long left-hander, another long right-hander. Then you've got that fast right-hander for the third sector, of course. And then we've got two main straights where the guys will be able to drain all of their ERS down the straight. And then, of course, you will be able to make that overtake. We will be seeing a lot of guys use their ERS down the straight to have that advantage coming around that last corner. So you're going to be able to use that DRS to a full extent. Because that last corner, you sometimes can make a mistake through there. And if you use that ERS on the last straight, you will still be close enough to the guy ahead to use that DRS and make that move into turn 1. As we can see, Mark Werty going very, very deep coming into turn 1, going into turn 2 and turn 3. Turn 2, a very slippery corner, so you do really need to watch out through that part of the track. Then we're heading into turn 4, fast right-hander. I mean, it's kind of a slow right-hander, it's like 100 degrees, and then we're heading into this fast right-left section, kind of an S. as he's got the fastest first sector, but that won't be for too long. Into turn 7, if I'm not mistaken, and then we're heading into turn 8 and 9. Like I said before, turn 8 and 9, a very difficult overtaking opportunity, well, section, because, you know, the thing is, it's so tight, and it's such a hard braking zone downhill. Then we're heading into, you know, a very tight corner, a very, you know, you're going through that corner quite slow. You don't have a lot of runaway room. I mean, you do, but if you touch that curb on the exit, you will lose a lot of time. So most guys don't make a move through there, because you're just gonna push someone wide, and that's not really what you want as a racing driver, because that can result in a 5-second time penalty. Now coming around turn 11, heading into sector 3, the guys are gonna be draining a lot of ERS, as we can see on the MFD from Mark Wirty. He's draining a lot of ERS down that straight, then heading into turn 14, 12 and 13 if I'm not mistaken, to capture the pole time for now, 132.9. As we're gonna go on board with Doran. He's just entered sector 2 as he's heading into sector 3 quite soon. Turn 8 and 9, like I said before, downhill corner, very slow, and the curbs on the exit are quite high, so you really need to watch out there. But Doran on a very good streak lately, together with his teammate Keeves. I think they're definitely in the top 5 of the Constructors' Championship. But Shaggy currently in P16. He's not been on a streak lately. The Mercedes driver is possibly going to get a tow from his teammate, or it's the other way around. Tushkern, who's already come across the line with a 130.1, currently on pole. Matt G puts himself right behind us. Keeves comes across the line with a 130.0. As we're just going to have a quick look with Dorn here, coming around the last corner. And that last corner is a very tricky one. You don't want to touch the curb on the exit, but you don't want to touch the curb on the entry either, because both scenarios are going to make you lose time. A 130.3 for Doran, only 3/10 away from P1, but still, he finds himself in P6, so a very close grid once again. As Prep, one of the new guys, so we're definitely going to keep an eye on this driver. I'm pretty sure he is a Norwegian, because he's got that OWR tag in his name, and usually those guys are from Norway, if I'm not mistaken, because we've got Alex Hawk, who's from Norway. We have got Shaggy, who's from Norway, and then, of course, Mr. Harry Kane, and I'm not sure if he's actually racing for Speedforce Racing still, but I do know that he's got that OWR tag too. We've got the fastest second sector for the Ferrari driver, but as we as we know, there's a little bit of a glitch going on in the Formula 1 game, where it's always going to show you have the fastest second sector. He's coming around the last corner, and I do think it's a possibility for pole here for the Ferrari driver, coming across the line with a 130.1, puts himself in P3. Once again, a very close finish up top. And Calvin Racing, one of the faster guys here, is going to let the Haas driver go past, although the Haas driver is not on a fast lap, I think. Is it a Haas driver? It is possibly a Haas driver. It is Mansell indeed, but he's on an out lap, so we don't really need to watch out for Mansell too much yet. I mean, if I were Calvin Racing, because he's on an out lap, but of course he doesn't know that. Cassidy on a fast lap. We've got yellow flags in sector 1, yellow flags in sector 2, and Cassidy, one of the faster guys here, he took P2 last week in Austin. His teammate Calvin Racing put himself in P1. But Calvin Racing didn't have the race start he was hoping to have last week, because he qualified in that P1 but dropped to P6 rather fast. And then from then on, it just went downhill. He just lost more and more positions. And that's not really what you want as a racing driver. When qualifying in P1, you want to be staying in that P1. You want to keep that pole position, and that's not really what he did. So Cassidy, he might be able to challenge his teammate today, as I'm not sure if he's on a fast lap though. Coming around turn 10 and 11, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. It is indeed 14 and 15. This is turn 13, of course, as he's got the fastest second sector, but I think that's a glitch. Once again, he's got 15 more seconds to come across the line and grab that pole time off Keeves, and I think he might be up for a shot here. Cassidy coming around the last corner, down the straight. A 129.7 for the Red Bull driver, puts himself on pole for now. And there's not too many people on the grid, so I'm just gonna close my door as I forgot about it once again, as I will be right back in a sec. Alright guys, so now I'm allowed to scream as hard as I want, as many times as I want, you know. Quite fun being a commentator. You get to scream a little bit here. As Calvin Racing is on a fast lap, currently entering Sector 3. He's up by 25.7 seconds, as that will possibly put him on pole. But he still needs to improve a little bit here in Sector 3. Mansell comes across the line with a 129.5, as the Haas driver is currently on pole, a provisional pole, as Calvin Racing comes across the line. I don't think this will be a pole for the Red Bull driver, though. And he's coming into the pits a little bit too fast, though, but I'm not sure what the rules are on that one. MCFC in P10. Don't think there's many drivers still out on track. The V car might be on a night lap, and indeed he is on a night lap. So I'm just gonna listen to the live stream real quick to see if the quality is alright. Yeah, okay, so the quality is quite alright. Perfect. The Vigor is going to be on a fast lap pretty soon. He's just entered Sector 3. So we're just going to take a quick sip of water. And then we are ready to cover the Vicar, or the Vicar, or whatever I should pronounce it like. Here comes the V-car down the straight. He will be opening that DRS wing. I mean, the back of his wing, obviously, because the reason why DRS is so powerful down the straight and why it only works down the straight is because your car, the wind goes through the wing, so you will gain a little bit of time, because the wind otherwise has to, you know, the wing is there for you to be able to make the corner better. So if the wing is not there anymore, there's no point. Well, if you don't need to make a corner, there's no point of the wing being there. So they open up the wing so that the wind can flow through the wing, so that the air can flow through the wing. And that's how guys gain a little bit of more speed down the straights. And it's also the dirty air that's coming through the wing that's making you a little bit, you know. Is it the dirty air though? I don't know if it's the dirty air. I think it is the dirty air that's coming through the wind and it's making you a little bit faster. Utkarsh with a 129.2 puts himself on pole for now. But I mean, we've got many other drivers to come on track. Calvin Racing is still on an out lap. He's just come out on an out lap. And Mikey, who is Mikey? I have no idea. How are you doing, Lobus? It's Nathan. I have no idea who you are, mate. But welcome, mate. How are you doing? Here comes the V-car, puts himself on P3. What is he eating today? A 129.7 for the Alfa Romeo. I'm pretty sure he has bought some hacks on www.something. Oh, crazy, the V-car. Oh, in P4 though, just the Mercedes driver came across the line. But still, what a result from the Alfa Romeo driver. That is absolutely crazy from the Alfa Romeo driver. The main two drivers to look at now is Oliver, as he's coming around Sector 2, heading into Sector 3. And of course, Calvin Racing. Are we gonna assume that Calvin Racing is gonna put himself on pole again today? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. His teammate is only in P5 with a 129.7, 5 tenths off Utkarsh this time. And Oliver is he's drained all of his DRS. Why did he do that? Oh, Oliver. You won't have enough time. You had to come into the pits. He doesn't have any ERS left. Well, he's not going to be the one to look at. Calvin Racing, here he comes. We're going to go on board with the Red Bull driver. As he's down the straight at the moment, heading into turn 1. Hard braking zone into second or third, whatever the driver prefers. He's going into second, upshifting into third. Try and avoid a wheel spin. And heading into turn 3, of course, down the straight, another DRS opportunity for the drivers, and a little bit of an DRS opportunity. You don't want to drain too much down this straight, maybe to keep the guys behind you who are who have the DRS, but that's only during the race. He's up by 4 seconds already, heading into sector 2 in a second. Oh, he's already in sector 2, around turn 7 at the moment. Beautifully done from the Red Bull driver. Heading into turn 8 and 9, that difficult corner section must be the most difficult corner section here in Bahrain. Although I think that S section heading into Sector 2 is also very difficult if your tires are overheating. Yo, Martin, how are you doing, mate? Heading into Sector 3 in a second. He's got that Alfa Romeo driver right in front of him. Or is that a Ferrari driver? Might be a Ferrari driver. Or is that Mr. Wiggles? It is Mr. Wiggles indeed. No, is it Mr. Wiggles? I think it is Mr. Wiggles. He might be able to get a little toe of that, although Mr. Wiggles is a little bit too far ahead. Around the last corner comes Calvin Racing. This is definitely a pole time. This is definitely a pole time because the guys such as Mansell and Mad G coming around that last corner were only having a 121. 129.4! Only a couple of tenths away from Utkarsh. Only 2 tenths away from Utkarsh. But Calvin Racing puts himself in P2, and I don't think he will be able to come out on track anymore. Doran with a disappointing P13, but he's up on his time by about a 10. That will put him somewhere around P12 or P11 if he can improve a little bit more here through Sector 2. And then, of course, Sector 3 is where you're probably going to lose or win the most, well, I mean, the least amount of time, gain the least amount of time is what I should say. Mainly because there's not many corner sections through there, and he's up by 6 tenths already. Let's have a quick look where that would put him. It would put him in the top 6, right in front of the V car. Maybe he's going to be able to gain a little bit of time here down the straight, and then he would be able to put himself on a provisional P5. But that's still an if, you know, an if he's going to be able to gain some time through that last sector. 129.8 will put him in P9. I think he's lost some time there in Sector 3, which is quite unfortunate. You know, he was up by about 7 tenths and only came across the line with an improvement of 5 tenths. Matt G retired from the session in the pit lane. Is there anyone else out on track? I think Cassidy is, and he's up on his time by about a tenth. The fastest first sector is what it says on my screen and possibly on your screen too. Coming around turn 8 and 9 at the moment. Beautiful quarter section there from Cassidy. Really nails that turn 8 and turn 9. As he's got the DRS at the moment heading into turn 10. Also a very tricky corner because you want to go onto the curb as much as possible where you go, well, on the, you know, on the entry. As Calvin Racing also retired from the session. 2 tenths up on his time. Cassidy, that will put him somewhere around P4, P3. Maybe P5, depends on how much time he gains here or loses through that last sector. We saw Doran lose a little bit of time here through Sector 3. Will Cassidy be doing the same? Across the line he comes. Cassidy puts himself in pole position. A 129.1. He's gained a lot of time through that third sector. And that was really his pain point during that last lap he did. And this lap is absolutely amazing. A provisional pole time by the Red Bull driver. But will it stay that way? Doran is coming into the pits. Won't be able to compete with Mr. Cassidy. Keeves might be up on his time though. He is up on his time. 3 tenths going into Sector 3. Maybe this was... I don't think he will be able to improve here through Sector 3. It's definitely not going to be a pole though. He might be able to get a little bit of slipstream of the Ferrari driver. That's going to be Prep, who's going into a fast lap. A 129.6 for Keeves. That will put him in P7. Might want to go to the back of the grid. Maybe to Ellie in P14. Not bad at all. Is she up on her time? Doesn't look like it. 1.7 seconds slower. Energy Dan in the McLaren. That's quite interesting because he was in the AlphaTauri, I thought, wasn't he? P10 for the McLaren driver isn't bad at all. But I do think he would have been able to get a little bit faster in that AlphaTauri, in that, you know, familiar seat, in that familiar car. Because there is actually a psychological thing here going on. Let's say there's... What round are we in? I think we're round 9. You're racing for 8 rounds in the same car. You're looking at that gray halo. Then all of a sudden you have to switch to a bright orange car. It's going to be bright. It's going to be, you know, distracting. And I think that might be a factor why he's only in P10. I think, you know, P10 isn't bad at all. But let's say if this was a lap in the AlphaTauri, I think he definitely could have gotten the P9, for example. So those are very little factors that come into play when being a racing driver. Is anyone else still in the lab? Mansell is. He's up on his time by only a bit. And he's got that Aston Martin driver in front of him. He might be able to snoop a little bit of ERS. The slipstream from Alex Hawk. Or is that Mark Werty? Might be Mark Werty too, though. It might be Mark Werty too. We've got one Aston Martin coming into the pits. Energy Dan is also coming to the pits, retired from the track. Mansell up on his time, but not by too much. It will not gain him a position. Maybe here through sector 3. And Oliver just came across the line to put a P2 on the board. 11 thousandths faster than Utkarsh. And here comes Mansell. A 129.5 won't gain him a position. I think everyone has come across the line. Utkarsh comes into the pits. And only these two at the back of the grid. Oh, Mindful Wasp. We haven't taken a look at him yet. Oh, puts himself in P4. We kind of lost Mindful Wasp in the rear of the field. Well, at the back of the field. And he just came across the line to put a P4. He's going to be right in front of Calvin Racing. I do have to say the Haas and the Red Bulls have once again, and the Haas and the Red Bulls have once again shown some greatness here. But we can't forget about the Williams, the AlphaTauri, right in between those guys. Apparently Smoke in the chat says, Oliver, where did that lap come from, mate? That is a very good question, Oliver, with a very fast qualifying pace today. We've got a grid full of Hungarians and British people. Once again, we've got one Indian driver being Utkarsh. I think the rest is Norwegians. What did I say? Hungarians? I meant Norwegians, though. Norwegians and British people. Well, that's quite fun. Pole time goes to Cassidy in... Oh, wait, I need to remove my camera. Hold up, guys. 1 second. Oh, my mouse isn't working. Oh, this is struggles. Oh, we need to go to the back. Oh, this is struggles. There we go. So pole time goes to Cassidy. As I said before, he's going to be able to start from pole. A very close P3 indeed, Noldus. And I'm pretty sure these guys are going to be battling the whole race. Because Bahrain is that kind of track where a lot of guys are going to be making an overtake. Are going to be switching positions. All that kind of stuff. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm just going to listen to the live stream one more time. To analyze whether the audio is alright. Should be alright if I'm not mistaken. 16 watchers, guys, what is happening? Holy damn. Nice, guys. Oh my days. Oh, wait, huh? Oh, I'm all the way there. Never mind. Yeah, we are ready to go, guys. Whew. I'm excited about this race because Bahrain, in my opinion, is one of the best racing tracks out there. There's not many good overtaking opportunities or corners or corner sections, but when there is, we see some beautiful moves being made in turn 1, in turn 4, in turn 10. All those corners are good overtaking opportunities. And then not to forget the straights. The guys will have DRS down the straight. The guys will be able to use ERS down the straight and all that kind of thing. They just need to be within 1 second of the guy ahead. And that's where ERS comes into play. When you're not within 1 second of the guy ahead, you're just going to drain all of your ERS down that second main straight. And then you will have DRS down the start-finish straight. So it's really a good racing track. A lot of guys despite the track. For some reason, I have no idea why. This was the first race on King of Leagues. Well, not King of Leagues, the first edition, but the third edition. This was the first race, and it was a lovely race. We've seen some great racing. Only 1 report or 0 reports have been made there. So it's really a track where there's not a lot of, incidents and all that kind of stuff. It's just when there's an incident happening, it's usually not that harsh or whatever you want to call it. We're first gonna have a formation lap, so I'm just gonna look at the tires real quick. Tire wise, we're looking at a hard and a medium strategy from most of the guys. Most of the guys actually going for hards, only 3 drivers on the mediums. And this is what I've done yesterday too, and it's an absolutely lovely strategy. Those hards will take you very long into the race, possibly lap 14, 15, and then you will be able to switch on to the mediums. You will also be able to cover a late safety car in case that would happen. Let's say you think there's going to be a safety car around lap 16, 17, 18. You never know, but it's possible. You will be able to go from hards to softs to finish off the race. Or you could start on the mediums, hope for an early safety car, and end the race on the hards, because these hards will take you long into the race. A long distance is what they're known for, the hard tires, and especially on Bahrain. That's where these hards are going to come into play and hopefully gain you a couple of positions. You might be losing a couple of positions during the start of the race when there's a lot of guys starting on the mediums, but that is not the case. Only 3 drivers starting on the mediums, so the chance of you losing 3 positions is rather small, based on tire advantage. But currently only 3 drivers on the mediums. We might see Tashkern gain a couple of positions. Energy Dan the same. He's dropped to P12 during that qualifying session. And Energy Dan, one of the most consistent drivers I know. He's had a great result in Baku. Baku, one of the most technical circuits, I do have to say that, on the calendar. And Energy Dan, this is one of those tracks where it's very technical, very, you need to be consistent during a lap, and that's really what Energy Dan is going to be able to do. P12 on the mediums, he will possibly gain 3 positions on the guys who have started in front of him with the hard tires. So the guys are going to line themselves up at the moment, coming around that last corner. The safety car is already coming to the pits. Well, the formation lap car is what we should call it, because it's not really a safety car, is it? It is a safety car. It is a safety car. So here they come. Guys, we are currently in Speed Force Racing. Well, on the Speed Force Racing YouTube channel. We're in Season 15, Round 9 of the Bahrain Grand Prix, if I'm not mistaken. Cassidy put himself on pole. He's starting on the hards. We might want to switch over to the position changes. The guys have all lined up on the grid. It's engines roaring here in Bahrain. And the 5 red lights are going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Bahrain. And away we go. A very good start from the Red Bull driver there already. As it seems like the Williams driver is going around the outside of Oliver. Although Red Bull driver there down the inside, trying to make a deep dive bomb on the AlphaTauri driver. That is Calvin Racing making the overtake on Mindful Wasp already. Although Mindful Wasp keeping that position. And Matt G gained the position from Mansell. Mansell dropped the position here. Tashkern up into P9. As he's got a couple of guys behind him trying to make the overtake. Energy Dan down the inside into turn 4. And he's keeping the position though. Who is going to back out of the move? Mansell dropped to P16, 17, 18. As it seems like Energy Dan already gained 4 positions off that race start. There's a little bit of chaos going on the back of the grid there. Doran gaining a position. Tashkern on the medium tires, quite interestingly enough. He started on the medium tires, so he should have gained a couple of positions, but instead of gaining positions, he lost positions. There is already a gap forming between P3 and P2. That is a 1.1 second gap. So as of right now, Utkarsh won't have the DRS, but the DRS hasn't been enabled yet. And Oliver on the tail of Cassidy. 2 drivers will run away a little bit from the rest of the grid. So you might want to have a quick look with Calvin Racing here on the tail of a Mindful Wasp. The top 5 haven't changed positions. And Matt G is one of the guys who's on the tail of Calvin Racing. And Calvin Racing might feel the pressure from behind. He's already draining a little bit of VRS down that straight. To be able to catch that slipstream from Mindful Wasp here down the second main straight, the start-finish straight, actually the first straight from the track. As we've got a fastest lap for Cassidy at the moment at 135 point something, but we will see that change pretty soon. Oliver on the tail of Cassidy. This is really on that tail. Look at Mindful Wasp already making that move on Utkarsh. Well, he was trying to, but he didn't make it work. As it seems like Utkarsh has caught up to Oliver, so it seems like Utkarsh has a little bit of more of a low downforce setup where he's really going to be able to gain some time through the straights, down the straights is what I should say. And it seems like Mindful Wasp now has the fastest first sector, and he's really sniffing the butt of Utkarsh at the moment. Although Utkarsh once again loses a little bit of time through sector There it goes again. My apologies, guys. This is really not my fault. It's just the fault of whatever this system is called. We might want to switch over to Doran here. Although, Mr. Wiggles... Oh, and he's going into the wall! Broken front wing for the Alfa Romeo driver. And is this going to be a virtual safety car? Yes, indeed it is. We're heading into lap 3 out of the 29. And Mr. Wiggles is the first driver to come into the pits. And he will possibly be going on to the medium tires. Let's have a quick look here with the front of the grid. And let's talk about the position changes real quick, because Energy Dan being the biggest winner as of right now, although MCFC all the way in P12 gained 5 positions, so not bad at all for the Williams driver. And then of course we've got Energy Dan came from P12 all the way into P8 at the moment, and he's also on the tail of Keith, so he might be gaining another couple of positions. You know, these medium tires he's running at the moment are still fresh. Lap 3 out of the 29. He's going to be able to run those mediums still lap 12, 13, 14. They're going to start running off around lap 10, lap 11. And it's green flags and go, go, go again. As there's quite a bit of a gap between Utgars and Oliver once again. But Utgars gained some time through turn 7. You might want to go on board with Energy Dan here real quick. He's on the tail of Keeves. But he's also got that hungry Mercedes driver right behind him. And I can't blame Tashkern for losing a position, because both these drivers, the guy who's lost a position to, is also on the medium. So there's nothing for him to blame for. But I mean, Energy Dan is really found the pace, finds himself in good scoring position. And Mindful Wasp at the moment on the tail of Utgars. And Mindful Wasp, he's such a consistent driver, sometimes gets caught up in an incident. But I mean, it's not usually his fault. He finds himself on the tail of Utgars, and he will have the DRS. He will have the DRS. Here he comes. DRS wide open. Utgars is not going to have the DRS, I think. Mindful Wasp is going to open up his wing. Here he comes. Doesn't have too much straight line speed. Utgars with that low downforce setup, but Mindful Wasp takes the position anyway, and Utgars brakes really, really late. He's still around the outside. Has the inside line right now, but he backs out of it. Beautiful overtake from Mindful Wasp. Keeping the anticipation that Utgars might have still been able to make the overtake around the outside, but he broke just at the right time, and now he's going to try and chase down Oliver F1. I'm just going to listen to the live stream real quick, guys. My apologies. Yeah, should be all good. Oh, and there's a yellow flag. Who has crashed out this time around? It is Brep. All the way in P18. He's dropped 4 positions. Unfortunately, he had a very disappointing qualifying, starting in P14. Dropped all the way to P18. But we might want to have a quick look with Mindful Wasp here. Mindful Wasp, as I said before, he's a very consistent driver. But he's very well known for choosing very interesting strategies. We saw back in season 14, he went... Hungary is what actually won him the race, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And it's always a race where I'm gonna mention Mindful Wasp, because he had a different strategy, and that's how he actually won that race. Or it was a different race, I have no idea, but he had a good battle with Mr. Wiggles back then. Mr. Wiggles dropped down many positions. He was in the Ferrari last season. He is in the Alfa Romeo this season. I have no idea what happened to him, but he finds himself 19 or 18 positions down to where he used to be in some races last season. He's just not got the pace, and I'm not... Oh, and a drive-through penalty for Ellie. That is the biggest penalty we've seen so far. Can you show the tires? Yes, I can, but I know them from the top of my head, though. But I can show them still. Let me have a quick look here. Tire-wise, we're looking at mediums for Utgars, Energy Dan, and Tashkern. And a very interesting thing, though, Utgars wasn't able to keep the toe of Oliver on the mediums. So Utgars was on the mediums. He was not able to keep the toe of Oliver. So does that show something about Utgars' race pace rather than his qualifying pace? He's dropped the position, I think, to a Mindful Wasp. Yes, indeed. And, you know, Energy Dan gained the position to someone else, too. I'm not sure who he gained that position to. Probably Keeves. But we might want to have a quick look here with Tashkern on the tail of Keeves. And we had a little fangirl of Keeves last week. She's not here, unfortunately, today. I mean, not that it's unfortunate for me, but it's unfortunate for Keeves. Because Keeves is actually racing a good race, gained the position here. He's on the tail of Energy Dan, and I feel like he's going to have some beautiful battles with Tashkern today. Tashkern who lost the position to Keeves. And yeah, Keeves, one of the faster guys here on track. He's just not found the pace yet. He might be looking at a move on Energy Dan pretty soon. It depends on whether Energy Dan is going to have the DRS down the straight. And I think he will be, because he's 6 tenths behind Mad G at the moment. Here comes Oliver down the straight with the use of DRS. He's going to brake really, really late. Maybe the Red Bull driver can make a switchback work, but it doesn't look like it. Oliver just took the lead of the race for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Still 23 more laps to go, so still plenty of racing to go. But as I said before, we're going to be having a back and forward race. We're going to be having a lot of battles, a lot of good overtaking opportunities down the straight, as also Tashkern finds himself once again on the tail of Keeves. But Keeves is really smelling blood. He's really smelling the tail of... I mean, that is a very wrong thing I said there, but scrap that. I didn't say anything. Keeves... oh, we've got Melissa. Fangirl is still there. Haha, there we go. Oh, I thought you weren't here, Melissa. Thank you for being here, by the way. Keeves, your fangirl is here anyway. But it doesn't look like Keeves finds himself in good papers, because he's got Tashkern on the tail. And Tashkern is really not backing out. Keeves 7 tenths down on Energy Dan. And what will Tashkern be doing? Oh, went a little bit too much onto the brakes. Kind of lost him a couple of tenths there. I think he thought that Keeves was going to brake a little bit earlier. And that's where he went too harsh on the brakes. Because in turn 10, you don't want to go fully on the brakes. Unless you're, you know, right in front of the corner. But going into the corner, you don't want to touch the brakes at all, because that's where you're going to lose a lot of time. And that is what Tashkern did. So here comes Keeves. It might be a two-way overtake. Oliver still having the fast slap ass off right now. 133.3. What will Keeves be doing on the tail of Energy Dan? But look at that straight line speed from the McLaren driver. He might be making a move. Down the inside goes Energy Dan. He makes that move. He still has the inside line. Is the Ferrari driver going to back out? No, he isn't. Mad G keeps that P6. And Mindful Wasp now makes the overtake on the Red Bull driver. Beautiful overtake by Mindful Wasp down the second straight. And whoa, Energy Dan gets past Mad G anyway. Mad G gets pushed wide by Keeves right now. Keeves having a heated battle with the Ferrari driver. Here he comes through the S section. And Keeves still on the tail of that Ferrari driver. Here he comes. Goes a little bit too much onto the curb. What will Tashkern be doing? Because he is right on the tail of that Alpine driver. It's a very heavy battle here in the midfield. Keeves around the outside of the Ferrari driver. Don't make a move through there. Don't make a move through there. He's going to make it anyway. Oh, an interesting line from Keeves there. Right on the tail of that Ferrari driver. Here he comes. DRS wide open. ERS wide open. Will it be enough for the Alpine driver? Here he comes down the inside, and he's not going to brake late enough. Oh, and he almost crashes out Mad G there. He really needed to watch out, and now Energy Dan is keeping a little bit of a toe. I mean, a little bit of a gap to Mad G and the rest of that group. Oh, Keeves almost going into the back of Mad G. Will have to drain a little bit of ERS now to keep that toe of the Ferrari driver. It will be enough. It will be enough, but Energy Dan has ran away. 1.1 seconds, so Mad G will not have the DRS, I'm afraid. Oh, and there's been an incident. Tashkern has dropped a couple of positions. Here comes Keeves. Down the straight, DRS wide open, and that will be moved done by the Alpine driver up into P7. And Mad G, very unlucky there. Oh, goes into the back of the Alpine driver though. Needs to watch out though. Needs to brake a little bit on time, is what I have to say to Mad G, but luckily there hasn't been any incidents. Mindful Wasp now takes the lead of the race apparently. And I think Mindful Wasp, once again, his consistency is giving him the lead for free. That is basically, you know, it's he doesn't have to work for it. He's just being consistent. Oliver making a little mistake every now and then. He's just not found the pace yet. He did make the overtake on Cassidy, but look at that position changes. Those position changes from a Mindful Wasp. The Red Bull driver going a little bit too deep into that corner. Utkarsh might be up for a move. DRS wide open, but a look at that straight line speed from Cassidy. He keeps P3 for now. And the guys have caught up to Energy Dan, so it will be a battle for P6. Looks like MCFC is trying to make a move down the inside of Mad G there. That will be another position lost for the Ferrari driver. Now the Aston Martin goes around the outside. It went a little bit off track. That was Alex Hawk. Now also Matt G going a little bit off track. It's a very heavy battle here in the midfield, but a lot of positions lost for Matt G. Finds himself in P6, finds himself currently in P9, and Energy Dan lost the position to Keeves. So Keeves keeps P6 right now, and who will have the DRS? Will it be Energy Dan though? No, it will be Keeves. So Keeves keeps that position. Probably. It's 3 wide. It's 4 wide down the straight. Who will keep the position? Nobody is backing out. Oh, and the Ferrari driver down the inside. Energy Dan around the outside. It will be a little battle here. But Energy Dan keeps P6 for now. And Matt G, he finds himself back in P7. Keeves drops back to P9. Although he did have the DRS, so I'm not sure what was happening there. You know, Keeves, who had the DRS, he's now losing a position to Doran. But what a battle it has been. 4-way battle down the straight that we're going 4 wide. I've never seen that in a race before, but apparently we've seen it right now. And Energy Dan keeps that position. P6, 6 positions gained for the McLaren driver, which is not bad at all. So I'm just going to listen to the live stream real quick to see if the audio is still there. Okay, it's still there. And you know what the thing is, there's 2 battles happening at 2 different places on track. You know, we've seen a battle from Energy Dan, Maggi, MCFC. It's all the way at the back of the grid. I mean, in the middle of the field. And then we've got Mindful Wasp taking the lead of the race. Oliver in P2, Cassidy in P3, and Utkar's in P4. And then we've got another Red Bull driver in P5, all within 2 seconds of each other. MCFC now having a battle with Mad G. And Energy Dan with his straight line speed. Will it be enough? Will it be enough? I think it will be. He's choosing the inside line. Mad G comes around the outside, but it won't be enough, I'm afraid. Although, will it? Energy Dan breaking a little bit later. Then that Ferrari driver around the outside he goes, but Mad G retakes P6. We might want to keep an eye on this battle as Mindful Wasp finds himself on the tail of Cassidy. Oliver is trying to run away, has a gap of 8 tenths at the moment. And Utkars also is trying to keep the toe, but he's on those old medium tires, 10-lap old medium tires too, so he will have to come into the pits pretty soon. But when will that time be? It doesn't look like he's lost too many positions, too many time yet to the guys ahead. So I don't think it's pit time yet. As long as he can keep the toe of these guys, he should keep it like that. But if he comes into the pits earlier, he's gonna have a little bit of a gap when the other guys are coming into the pits. Because you know, that's the power of the undercut. He will be racing on quite a few faster tires, while these guys are all racing on the old hard tires. But then of course he's going to be having older tires at the end of the race. He's going to have slower tires at the end of the race, and I'm not sure what the right strategy is. MCFC, oh, there's been a battle, there's been a crash. MCFC drops to P10 as Energy Dan down the inside doesn't leave too much space for the Alpine driver around the outside. That they're coming down the straight, so you might want to focus. Oh, Energy Dan down the inside, and he's MCFC making a very torpedo-ish move. I think he just missed his braking point there, if I'm being honest. The VCare in P11. He's lost the position, but still a good qualifying, which he had earlier. And now Oliver's really pushing. Let me have a quick look at the chat. 2 DRS battles on the go. Yes, indeed. Keeves fighting to Hat needs to... I have no idea what that says. Keeves fighting to Hat needs to work with the other to get back to the leaders. I don't think they will be able to get back to the leaders. Look at that gap, 7.5 seconds. There's no way they're going to get back to the leaders. Oh, and there's a 1 second gap forming between a Mindful Wasp and Cassidy, but it's back to 9 tenths. 1 second once again. Will Mindful Wasp have the DRS right now? I'm not sure though. Let's have a quick look. He doesn't have the DRS, so he's possibly going to lose a little bit of time to Cassidy. Let's go on board with Keeves here. Energy Dan really having the pace, but he dropped a couple of positions. Oh, yeah. No, I get you, Smoke. I had no idea what you said right there. All right, so according to Smoke, Keeves should work together with the other guys rather than battling with them too hard. Keeves, who's dropped the position. He's looking to make that one up again. Danny inside he goes. He won't have the DRS, so I'm not sure what he's doing this for. He just broke a little bit too late. He's not going to have the DRS right now, and he will lose a position to MCFC. Here he comes. MCFC down the straight. Energy Dan will have the DRS. MCFC will have the DRS, and I think Keeps will lose another position rather than gain one. He went too late on the brakes. And down the second main straight. Let's go back to the front of the group. Utkarsh still in the tail of Mindful Wasp. Doesn't look like Mindful Wasp has the pace at the moment to keep the toe of Cassidy and Oliver. And let's have a quick look at the positions, the tires once again, because there's a lot of things going on. We've got, and there's a yellow flag. Who is that gonna be? MCFC possibly, as I think it was a Williams. Or was it the Vicar? I don't think it was the Vicar. It was MCFC. Let me have a quick look here, guys. So medium tires for Utkarsh, medium tires for Energy Dan, and medium tires for Tushkern. So it's quite obvious that those guys are going to be a little bit slower at the end of the race. I mean, at the second stint. Because at the end of the race, I think they're going to be faster. But it will be a hard challenge, I think. I don't think they will be able to keep that position. Oliver staying composed out front. Yes, indeed, Martin. 8/10ths, you know, it's not shrinking down. Cassidy has the DRS every lap, and he's just not making use of it, or he's not taking the advantage of the DRS. I mean, he's taking the advantage, but he's not gaining any positions. Utkarsh around the outside. Mindful Wasp is going to defend the inside line. Utkarsh is not close enough, though. Calvin Racing still stuck in P5, and he's been there for 13 laps already. We didn't see him make a move in turn 1. We didn't see him make a move from lap 1 to lap 13. And I don't see him making a move anytime soon. We've seen what he's done last week. Battling too heavy, making a mistake, and drop to the back of the grid. And that's not what we'd love to see with Calvin Racing. He needs to get consistent points, get consistent positions, and that's what he's trying to do right now. P5, and he's just waiting, patiently waiting for someone to make a mistake and hopefully get in the top 3. According to Smoke in the chat, Cassidy's just waiting his turn. Mindful, I mean, I'm not sure if he's actually waiting his turn, because I think he's actually pushing, because otherwise Mindful Wasp would have kept the toe of Cassidy. And being outside that 8/10ths, usually if you're not pushing and you're trying to and you're waiting, you know, if you're waiting, you're going to be a little bit closer than 8 to 9/10ths, because it looks like sometimes he's losing the toe, he's losing the DRS. I mean, not really losing the DRS, because he still has the DRS every now and then. And Utkarsh comes into the pits, the first driver coming into the pits, well, from who's following the actual strategy, because all the guys at the back of the grid have already come. Energy Dan is already coming to the pits. Look at that. Energy Dan currently in P14. And where is Utkarsh going to end up? Oh, he's going to be way ahead of Energy Dan. Oh yeah, he doesn't need to worry about the McLaren driver at all. So, like Smoke says in the chat, indeed they broke the DRS 1.4 seconds. But if I don't think that if he does, well, I don't think that if he didn't push, he would have broken the DRS. I don't think that's the case, because I'm pretty sure Mindful Wasp is pushing right now. Ooh, almost has a little snap there. Calvin Racing around the outside. Here he comes. Here he comes. DRS wide open. Mindful Wasp is going to lose that position. A very costly mistake, although he still goes down the inside. Maybe a little switchback from Calvin Racing there. Indeed, a switchback. Around the outside he goes into turn 11, and he keeps the position, has the outside line. What a move from Calvin Racing. And now they're just going to lose more time. They're just going to lose more time. So the way how they can compensate for that is coming to the pits early to try and cover a undercut. But then of course you will be on older set of mediums at the end of the race. So the only way on how they can keep that toe of the Red Bull and the Haas driver up ahead is when they are undercut, because that's where they're gonna gain the 2 seconds that they lost already, or the 1.9 seconds that they lost already. They just need to gain 1 second, and then they're back into the DRS. And the way how to do that, as of right now, is not by battling, but coming into the pits early and, you know, gain a little bit of time on your fresher tires. Because they will be on the mediums. I'm not sure how... I think the mediums are good to go for about 14 laps. So I think the right strategy is to come into the pits as of right now. But the guys who have already taken a little bit of a lead, 2 seconds right now to Mindful Wasp, they might stay out for a little bit longer and try to make the overcut work. And hopefully they're gonna, you know, have fresher tires at the end of the race, and that's where they're gonna gain a little bit of pace. I do have to admit, Calvin Racing has been very, very consistent as of right now. If you're able to keep the pace of Mindful Wasp during a whole race and sticking to the toe of the AlphaTauri driver, I think you can be considered one of the more consistent drivers out there. Cassidy not coming into the pits. I think Calvin Racing and Cassidy had a little bit of a chat. Who's going to come into the pits first? Cassidy not working with that undercut strategy. Medium tires for Calvin Racing. And this might be very costly for Cassidy. Mindful Wasp coming out on track. Utkarsh with the fastest lap. He's going to gain a couple of positions here. As you can see, he is up into P5. Made the overtake on Oliver. Oliver is already coming to the pits on the medium tires as of right now. But Utkarsh will have the faster tire at the end of the race. Simply because his tires are going to last longer. That's just the thing. Oh, wait, hold up. MCFC just has to let his teammate go through and massively hold up Oliver. That would be insane. If MCFC can do that, that would be insane. But I think MCFC is going to come into the pits soon. Is MCFC going to let his teammate go through? Doesn't look like it. Utkarsh is just losing time. Utkarsh is just losing time. Down the inside, he wants to go. He wants to go down the inside, and he makes the move down the inside. DRS right now for MCFC. What is Utkarsh going to do? MCFC is just going to let the Haas driver wait. He's just going to let him wait. What is MCFC going to do? Here comes Oliver down the inside. MCFC has to hold up Oliver. He has to hold up Oliver. Is he going to do it? Do it. Do it right now. Come on, MCFC. Oh, and he's keeping such a big gap too. Utkarsh. Come on, MCFC. Oh, and he's going to do it. Look at that gap from Oliver to Utkarsh already. 1 second. 1 second. Is he going to have the DRS? He's going to have the DRS, unfortunately. Oliver did minimize the damage, but there's a 1.1 second gap to Utkarsh. Oh, what a battle between MCFC and Oliver. MCFC might be up for a battle again. He's on the tail of that Haas driver. Will he try and make that move again? I don't think he will be able to do it. Mindful Wasp. Oh, with a heated battle, and Cassidy losing a position there. Mindful Wasp almost lost his car there coming through turn 3. And Oliver back on the tail of Utkarsh. And it will be a battle for the lead of the race. And possibly a battle for the race win here. I'm just going to have a quick look whether the audio is still... Alright. Yeah, it's still alright. Perfect. And Oliver and Utkarsh. I don't think Cassidy and Calvin Racing can be talking about race wins anymore. The race win anymore. They've got Mindful Wasp right in front of them. MCFC in the middle of them. And they're just going to have to, you know, push that hard to be able to get back to these two. Because they are flying. Oliver on the mediums, Utkarsh on the hards, and who will take the lead of the race. We're heading into lap 18 out of the 29. Still 11 more laps to go. And also Alex Hawk has caught up a couple of positions, but he still has to come into the pits. Here comes Oliver, down the straight, DRS wide open. Utkarsh has a lot of straight line speed, but so does Oliver. And he's going down the inside. Beautiful overtake from the Haas driver. It's not very difficult if you have the DRS. Oh, Utgars is going to brake a little bit later. And he's not going to make the switchback work, unfortunately. 5-second time penalty for Alex Hawk. He's going to drop back a lot of positions. And where's Energy Dan going to end up in? He's going to be right behind Matt G. I think Oliver... I don't think Utgars has done the right thing battling with Oliver as much as he can, because Oliver's now got clean air. He's now got the medium tires. He's going to make a move. A gap. That's what I was about to say. He's going to make a gap to Utgars. The only way in how Utgars is going to be able to compensate for it is by sticking within that DRS, but it's also looking like a struggle for the Indian driver at the moment. He's just barely going to have the DRS. He's gaining a little bit of time here down the straight, gaining about 2/10, 3/10, but he will lose that again here coming into turn 10. These medium tires are just so powerful here around Bahrain. I've experienced it myself yesterday. And Utgars, he's got to drain all of his DRS down the straight here to keep that DRS. And he will be able to keep that DRS. That is good news. But for how long will he be able to keep this pace and this DRS and all that kind of stuff? We might want to have a quick look with Cassidy, who's coming around the last corner. He's going to have the DRS from Mindful Wasp. Down the straight they go. ERS wide open. He's not using any ERS, but he's going to drain all of his DRS. I mean, drain. You can't really drain the DRS. Taking a look down the inside, but the backside of it. Oh, almost goes into the back of Mindful Wasp there. There was very, very dangerous from Cassidy. Broke possibly a little bit too late. MCFC, who's gone onto the soft tires. Very interesting strategy from the Williams driver there. Martin in the chat. Surprised Oliver never pushed to get Utgars out DRS before conserving. Touché. Still has 30% of ERS. How much does Utgars have? None. He's got 15 to 20%. And I think it's time for Oliver to drain all of his ERS down the straight. He's just gonna take a big chunk out of that. I mean, he's gonna give a big chunk to that interval. 8/10, 7/10. It's gonna be difficult. I think Utgars will keep the position. I mean, he's gonna keep the toe of the Haas driver. It's very difficult because both drivers don't have anything to run with. They don't have the ERS. They're running different strategies, and you have to think as a racing driver, what do I prioritize? Being Utgars, do you want to keep the ERS a little bit and save some up for later during this race when my tires are going to be faster compared to those old medium tires, or do you want to drain everything to keep that toe of Oliver? It's just so much to think about as a racing driver, and it seems like he's keeping the toe of Oliver, and it seems like those hard tires are very good. Actually, he gained some time through that braking zone, loses a little bit here coming through turn 3, and he's gonna have the DRS again, and he's barely sticking within that DRS. As I said before, Calvin Racing now making the overtake on Mindful Wasp, as Calvin Racing going down the inside of his teammate Cassidy might possibly lose a position thanks to that. I mean, apart from the position he lost to his teammate. A good three-way battle here. You might want to have a quick look with Keeves and Energy Dan, as they will have the DRS. Keeves looking down the inside, but he's not going to make the overtake. Want to go back to the front of the grid. I mean, somewhere in the midfield of the midfield. No. At the front of the midfield, that's how I should say it. Because the front is Oliver and Utgars, and the front of the midfield is Calvin Racing, Cassidy, and Mindful Wasp. So we're gonna go back to this little group here. Utgars still sticking to the toe. I think he's gonna stay there. And lap after lap, he's gonna be faster compared to Oliver. With each lap that's being completed, Utgars is gonna be less slower than Oliver, and that is what the hards are doing. Oliver should have made a little difference. Should have made a little gap starting when he was starting on those medium tires, and he didn't do that. Utgars was able to keep the toe of Oliver, and now he's just gonna be punished for that little mistake. Both drivers don't have any ERS anymore. Utgars, as you can see, he was struggling to stay within that 1 second, and now Oliver's struggling to keep him out of the half a second. Look at that, 6/10 going into sector 2. That is something we've not seen before yet. So that is a great indication of the hards being faster than the medium tires at the moment. 7-lap-old hards, 5-lap-old mediums. This is probably the kind of balance point where the switch point where the hards are going to be faster than the mediums. Although, look at that gap that Oliver is making. Might have been draining a little bit of ERS coming through that sector 2. But it's not usual to use ERS down sector 2. We might want to have a quick look here as Mindful Wasp made the overtake on Calvin Racing again. Possibly with the use of DRS. And it seems like they're making a little bit of a gap to Calvin Racing. 5/10 as of right now. Martin in the chat says Mindful battling for the sake of it. I can't read that one word. Red Bull's trying to catch the top 2. I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to catch the top 2 because 5 seconds is a big gap, especially with 3 drivers. And the guys ahead, they're not really battling that heavy either. So there's no chance of you being able to gain any positions if the top 2 is not battling. And there's always going to be, in a group of 3 drivers, there's always going to be one driver that wants to battle because he's going to think we're never going to get, 3 wide into turn 4. Cassidy was looking for it. No, it was Calvin Racing looking for it. But there's always going to be one driver in the top 5 in that group of 3 people who's going to think we're never going to get back to the top group. And he's just going to battle for P3. And I think that's completely right of him to think about that. I mean, I do have to give it to them. They're gaining time though. They're gaining time, but on the other hand, Utgars is losing time to Oliver. He's dropped out of that 1 second. And now it's just a matter of time before Utgars is going to get within that 1 second again. Back to Keeves on the tail of the VCare. Oh, look at that. Calvin Racing on the tail of Mindful Wasp. DRS wide open. I think Cassidy is pushing a little bit. Mindful Wasp dropped outside that DRS. No, he still has the DRS. He still has the DRS. But it won't be for too long. Cassidy pushing and pulling away from Mindful Wasp. And I think what Calvin Racing needs to do is try and make it difficult for Mindful Wasp, because the more these guys are going to be battling, the better it'll be for Cassidy to try and get closer to Utgars and Oliver. Oh yeah, it will be a good challenge for Mindful Wasp. We've got Calvin Racing right on the tail, and Cassidy is pulling away. 8/10 for the AlphaTauri driver at the moment. And they're only 3.9 seconds behind Utgars. So I think Utgars is definitely losing a little bit of time to this little group. And I do have to give it to Mindful Wasp. He's just been so consistent, but it won't be enough. Look at Calvin Racing. DRS wide open. And that will be overtake done by the Red Bull driver. And what a great move from Calvin Racing there. Now Cassidy has taken a little bit of a lead here from this little group. 9/10. Calvin Racing is actually pushing, trying to get back within that DRS. And if I'm being honest, it's the right approach. Because otherwise, Mindful Wasp is going to make the overtake again. He's going to give him a chance of getting back to the toe of Cassidy. And all that kind of things you need to consider. Mindful Wasp now having the DRS. Will it be enough? Calvin Racing with a lot of straight line speed. Look at that. Mindful Wasp will be sticking on the toe of Calvin Racing, and I don't think he will be able to make that overtake anytime soon. Now let's have a quick look with the position changes again. 5 positions gained for Doran. So he qualified in P11, currently in P6. Not bad at all. Might want to have a quick look with the tires. He's on 8-lap-old mediums. And MCFC is starting on those, ending on those soft tires. Will that pay off? Good question. Energy Dan has dropped a couple of positions, has dropped outside the points. Not in SFR, because everyone who finishes scores points, if I'm not mistaken. But Energy Dan, he's outside the top 10, and that's not something that I've been expecting. He was so consistent, and he gained a couple of positions during the race start and dropped them again. I'm not sure what happened. Might be the hard tires, but he's 3.7 seconds behind MCFC, and I also think he had an incident with MCFC, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like Keeves is now trying to close down the gap to Matt G. And Keeves, you know... Oh, no, it's probably not Keeves. Well, no, it is Keeves, but Matt G is a little bit too far ahead. Mindful Wasp now on the tail of Calvin Racing. And look at that. Once again, DRS opportunity for Calvin Racing. We're heading into lap 25 out of the 29, so still 4 more laps to go after this one. And Mindful Wasp is really close. He's going to be able to make that overtake. ERS. He's not using any ERS, so I think Calvin Racing, look at that straight line speed. He's got more straight line speed than Mindful Wasp. Mindful Wasp still goes down the inside. A little bit of a wheel banging there from the English driver, but he still gets the position. And that might be a little report from Calvin Racing, because there was contact between the two. And usually as a racing driver you want to avoid contact, but that was not on a Mindful Wasp's mind. He was not very mindful. The unmindful Wasp. Mindful, if you're watching this, it's a little joke, mate. Don't take it too serious, please. And the V-car. The V-car is what I should say. I think I should say the V-car. I could be totally wrong if I'm being honest. But I mean, he's been fairly consistent these last couple of races. Gained a position. MCFC being the biggest winner as of right now. I mean, 7 positions gained. Look at that. But the V-car, he qualified at some point during the qualifying. He qualified in P3. And I was totally blown out of my shoes. It's just blown out of my chair, whatever you want to call it. But I did not expect him to get that position. And seeing him in P9, being in the top 10 is making me very, very happy. You know, at the beginning of the season, he was thinking about quitting when that, you know, that traction control rule was getting released, of the drivers not being able to use full traction control for the rest of the season after round 8. So that would be this race. That's quite funny. That would be this race. But I mean, he didn't give up during the beginning of the season. He tried to run medium traction control, and he was actually doing quite well. And then they released that they were not gonna implement the rule anymore, and then he got faster and faster and faster. And look at him being P9 at the moment. Absolutely amazing. I'm amazed, is what I should say. Dashkern, we didn't have a quick look on him yet today. I mean, a little bit when he started on the medium tires. He's back on the medium tires, quite interesting. But he's on the tail of Mr. Wiggles, and he might be up for a move, as we didn't give him enough screen time today. So I need to cover the back of the grid too, because, you know, we can't always keep track of the guys ahead. And here comes Dashkern down the straight with the use of DRS though. With the use of DRS and a little bit of ERS, and he makes that overtake on the Williams driver. I think Mr. Wiggles has a lot of straight line speed. He doesn't ruin too many wings, if I'm being honest, because, you know, he was almost keeping the Mercedes driver behind him without the DRS, which is almost impossible around Bahrain. And it seems like Mindful Wasp has made the overtake on Calvin Racing again. And now he's trying to challenge Cassidy, 9-10, so he will have the DRS, and he will be able to pull a little bit closer. Lap 27 out of 29, still 2 more laps to go after this one. And then we're heading into that crucial part of the race. And Utkarsh is gaining a little bit of time, 1.7 seconds as of right now. And will he be able to gain a little bit more time through Sector 2 and Sector 3? They're heading into Sector 2 at the moment, 1.8 seconds. I don't think it will be enough. Will Oliver be... I mean, did he get a race win already this season? I might have to take a quick look, though. Let me have a quick look. I mean, I shouldn't be looking at that as a... I mean, at the moment, because these guys are going to be battling for P3. And it's a three-way battle. It could go any direction. It could be Mindful Wasp running away in that last lap. It could be Cassidy holding up Mindful Wasp and Calvin Racing running away with that P3. It could be someone getting a 3-second time penalty in the last lap. Any scenario could work. And it might be a scenario we haven't thought of yet. Here comes Mindful Wasp on the tail of Cassidy. And he's caught up, so he will be able to use that DRS down the straight. Lap 28 out of 29. If I were Mindful Wasp, I would patiently wait. And if I were Calvin Racing, I would make that move ASAP. Because it's going to be harder for Mindful Wasp to make 2 overtakes than to make 1 overtake. And as a Red Bull team, I don't think it matters too much who scores that P3 position. As long as it is a Red Bull driver and not Mindful Wasp. Because Mindful Wasp has been making it very difficult for the Red Bull driver these last Red Bull team these last couple of weeks. And I think he always got the better of them. They qualified in P1 and P2 last week in Austin. But Mindful Wasp, if I remember quite well, he ran away with a good amount of points. And he might be doing the same today. Oliver has run away. Mansell after a very disappointing race. I'm not sure what happened there, but he dropped a lot of positions earlier during this race. He's currently in P12, right behind, not right behind, 7.7 seconds behind Energy Dan, but he's got that Aston Martin on his tail. And he might drop another position off that. We're heading into the last lap of the race. It's almost 100% certain already that Oliver is going to run away with the race win. 2.2 seconds, 2.3 seconds to Utgars. So those hard tires have not been beneficial to Utgars during the later stage of the race. And let's have a quick look. Heading around the last corner comes a Mindful Wasp. Will he be able to make that overtake down the straight? It doesn't look like it. Oh, it might be Calvin Racing making the overtake. Mindful Wasp doesn't have any ERS left. Here comes Calvin Racing. Down the inside goes Calvin Racing. Will he be making that move? It's a 3-wide move. Mindful Wasp finds himself in a little bit of a sandwich. Is he going to make a switchback work? It's looking like it. He finds himself in a Red Bull blockage. And Mindful Wasp now goes down the middle. DRS wide open. He's going to make a dive bomb. No, he's not. Calvin Racing around the outside. It's both the Red Bull drivers having a heated battle with each other. Who is going to take P3? It looks like it's going to be Calvin Racing. Mindful Wasp finds himself trailing by a couple of tenths in P5. And now he's got 2 Red Bull drivers to overtake. I think it will be a very hard challenge. Calvin Racing running away with P3. And it looks like Mindful Wasp were trying to make a dive bomb work into turn 7. But didn't really make it fully work, if I'm being honest. Cassidy has to hold up Mindful Wasp at the moment. It won't be enough. Mindful Wasp will not be getting P3. Almost goes into the back of the Red Bull driver. Cuts the corner a little bit there. Went a little bit too late on the brakes. I think this is almost over. Who of the Red Bull drivers will run away with P3? Oh, Mindful Wasp has a good exit out of turn 13. Will it be enough? He doesn't have any ERS left. And Calvin Racing coming down the line with a P3. Will it be a P3? Here comes Mindful Wasp. Will he be running away with a P4? Oh, Cassidy has a penalty. Oh, Mindful Wasp will run away with that P4 anyway. Keeves on the tail of the Ferrari driver. It won't be enough for Keeves, I'm afraid. It's very rare that you're going to be making a move coming out of that last corner. Still. So Keeves in P8, the Vicor in P9, MCFC on the soft tires in P10. And we've got Energy Dan, not sure what happened. He was having a battle with Doran and Matt G, Keeves, all those guys at some point during the race, but not sure what happened there. Mansell in P13 on the tail of Alex Hogg, but he gained the position anyway due to that 5-second time penalty of Alex Hogg. So did Shaggy. Going at the back of the grid. Tashkern on the tail of the McLaren driver. Here he comes. It won't be enough for Tashkern, I'm afraid. And that will be your Grand Prix of tonight. Ellie might made a mistake there coming around that last corner. Will it be enough for Tashkern? Will it be enough? Down the line he comes, but Ellie runs away with P16. Very hard battling between Ellie and Tashkern. Thanks, Martin. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, mate. I really appreciate it. And then Mr. Wiggles coming across the line, and also Mark Werty. Congratulations, by the way, Oliver. I see you're in the chat. Very well done by you. As this was the Bahrain Grand Prix, guys. Very interesting race. A lot of different strategies. I do have to say that. I'm just going to remove my camera here real quick. And we have got Oliver, our race winner. Did he get a race win yet this season? I have to take a quick look. I find this Excel sheet so annoying because I have to open up. No, it's not an Excel sheet. It's a document, but whatever. You know, I have to open it up, go to this one, and then have a quick look here. Where's Oliver actually? He's only a P16, so it's quite surprising that he got a race win. I think his best result was in Austin, and that was a P2 last week. Let me have a quick look where Mindful Wasp was last week. Oh, he was in P4. Not bad at all. Cassidy ran away with that race win, so what I was saying about the Red Bulls being behind Cassidy, being behind Mindful Wasp was a complete lie, apparently. Alright, here we've got the results. Oliver in P1, Utgars in P2, and Calvin Racing in P3. Further, we've got Mindful Wasp, Cassidy, Doran, and Magi, Keeps, the V-Car, and MCFC in the top 10. The biggest winner might be Doran. The biggest winner might be MCFC. Up for you to decide. And then we've got our lower bottom of the grid. Energy Dan, Mansell, Shaggy, Alex Hawk, Prep, Ellie, Tushkern, Mr. Wiggles, and Mark Werty. And we don't have any DNFs. So as I said, there's not many incidents around Bahrain. And that's what I love about this track. Guys, I'm going to finish off the stream here. I hope you guys liked everything about the stream. Make sure to drop me any suggestions in the chat, in my DMs in Discord, or wherever you want to text me on. It doesn't matter too much, as long as I receive the suggestions, of course. Make sure to like the live stream if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it, and I'm pretty sure the guys from Speed Force Racing would appreciate it too. And I will see you guys next week. My name is VB Thomas. I'm your commentator. I was your commentator for tonight, and I will be there next week. So, guys, thank you for watching this live stream. Make sure to subscribe to Speed Force Racing if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next week. Peace out.